President Biden's popularity is plummeting by the day. A new Washington Post ABC poll shows his approval rating at a record low of 41%. The biggest concern among voters is the president's handling of the economy as skyrocketing prices threaten to put a damper on the upcoming holiday shopping season. So, how much lower can Biden go in the polls? Let's ask Chairman of the American Conservative Union, Mr. Matt Schlapp. Chairman Matt, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Buck.
Let's start with, are you surprised how bad things are for Biden? Because I got to tell you, I thought he was going to be bad at this job. But I'm seeing a lot of people that were willing to give him more than the benefit of the doubt say, oh, he's actually terrible.
This is the worst performance of any president or really party in the 40 years of the Washington Post doing this poll. The Washington Post isn't exactly considered a ringer from my side of things, but Joe Biden is at the bottom of the barrel. Republicans have a 10-point advantage on the generic ballot, and it really does lead you to ask, is it really possible that the president who got the most votes in the history of our country, literally a year later, is sitting in the worst political position of any president since Jimmy Carter? To me, that's just really not politically possible. The fact is, Joe Biden was really never that popular with the American people. They didn't really check out his policies. The campaign was irregular at best. And the American people are really saying enough.
Here is the latest on the state of the Biden economy as per an ABC Washington Post poll. Positive 29%, negative 70%. That 29%, by the way, that starts to get to that number, Matt, of people that I would refer to as the leftist absolutists. I mean, the people for whom anything that's not Donald Trump is something to celebrate. It doesn't matter if the whole country burns down around them. I think we're getting pretty close to the hardcore only of the Democrat Party thinking that the Biden economy is a good thing.
You know, Buck, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, they're getting rid of some of these really intensive math courses because they said it doesn't further the goals of equity. I think Joe Biden's polling on the economy is so bad that look for Democrats to say, well, actually, we need to secede or suspend polling for a while because there's no way that's fair for Joe Biden to be doing this bad. The American people vote on their pocketbook first, always. When you have 70% of Americans, including a lot of Democrats, saying the economy is this bad, I mean, it is a bad sign for Dems next year.
Here is the concern that's out there about the increase in the size and role of government. ABC Washington Post poll, 59% very to somewhat concerned about this, not at all concerned. Again, 16%. I mean, you're just seeing there's the hardcore left that they support Biden no matter what. They don't care. I mean, the Democrat base. But 59% are concerned, or very to somewhat concerned about the increase in the role of government. I mean, this just seems like people recognizing, one, the promises of the Biden administration aren't coming true, but also, what is the expectation for people that are paying attention to what's really happening around them, Matt, when the Biden administration is looking to sign a multi-trillion-dollar spending package, the biggest non-emergency spending bill since the 1960s?
Right. And what this does, you've got it right. It's not only expensive, but they're pushing every form of socialism on their wish list that they've had for the last decade or so. And look, the American people aren't dumb. They know that all of this federal spending is driving inflation. And they all know that inflation is a huge problem in their life. For all of us who go somewhere, we leave our basements and we're out in the world, we're filling up our car or our truck with gas, or we're taking air flights places. It's all run on motor fuel and on jet fuel, and it's really expensive. And go buy some chicken or some steak for your family, and you'll see how expensive food prices are partly because of fuel prices, but other reasons as well. Inflation is a thief in the night, and it is a tax on everybody, and it really harms people who are on fixed income. So, Buck,
Matt,
I think the American
hold on a second, Matt. Hold on a second, because this is very strange what you're telling me. Because right now the White House is convinced and telling everybody out there across America that spending more money on the government side is going to bring that inflation down, Matt. Here's what they said today.
The president understands that prices increasing, inflation really does put a strain on families, and we understand that, and we get that. But here's what's important: if you care about inflation, if you care about making sure that we ease inflation in the upcoming months, in the future, voting for this, the Build Back Better Act, is the way to go.
I mean, what? Help me here, Matt. Help me out. How does that make sense?
It's very simple. As prices become astronomically high, don't worry, because if you vote for Build Back Better, they'll give you more checks that'll help you afford the commodities that are going so high. Those checks will make those commodity prices go even higher. But don't worry, we'll pass a new bill in the future that will give you even more checks so you can pay for these bills. So this is insanity. And by the way, once inflation starts getting out of control, Buck, I'm just old enough to remember this when I was a little tight. It is very hard for politicians to fix it. So we could be on a terrible, terrible course for this country.
Yeah, it could be a presidency ender. I mean, historically, right? I mean, you look back at Ford, you look back at Carter, you look back at presidencies where inflation's been a major issue. But I want to also get your take, Matt, while we got you, on the Kamala controversy out there right now. Got the White House defending the vice president after reports of exasperation and dysfunction from within her office. People are not flocking to Team Kamala in large numbers inside or outside the administration. This is from a CNN report. Interviews with nearly 36 former and current Harris aides and administration officials reveal a complex reality. Many in the vice president's office fume she's not being prepared or positioned adequately and is instead being sidelined. She's told confidants she feels constrained, et cetera, yada, yada, lots of complaints. What the heck's going on here, man?
I said that our problem in our country is we have a president who has to read cue cards and a vice president who has no clue cards. The fact is the Democrats put together this ticket of Joe Biden, who wasn't up to being president, and they picked Kamala Harris because she checked all these boxes that are important to them and their political coalition, but she's not. They have found her wanting to be polite when she's out there on the hustings. And what I think is really interesting is this CNN story. It's all Kamala Harris world kind of turning on each other. All of her former staffers who didn't get the big White House gigs are complaining about the staffers who did get the White House gigs. And look, they won't use her at all. But if you pick a vice president because they are a woman and because they're a person of color and all these reasons, and then you put them in this job, Buck, and then you don't allow them to do anything, I just ask a question. At what point does this whole racial question get turned on its head? It's like, why won't you use her?